my dear YouTubers. Today we will continue yesterday information. Mr. Carl Wissler has introduced the two concepts, that is cultural area, age area. And he has also written three books. One is American Indian 1970, Man and Culture 1923, and Relation of Nature 1926. He wants to explain the cultural area and age culture a little bit detail. If it is the cultural area, always it refers to the cultural traits which are occurred in the nature. Then what about the age culture? What about the age area? Age area is an instrument, tool or a methodology which is useful to separate the cultural traits or isolable or isolate the clustered elements. There are three proponents to introduce this one theories. One is Mr. Franz Boas, second one is Kroeber, third one is Clark Wissler. This Clark Wissler has focused his light specifically on the cultural area. Why? Because it always refers to the cultural complexities and also cultural traits. As a result, the American School of Diffusion is also called as Cultural Area School. Sometimes, if the cultural centers are present, that acts as a core point for the cultural area. Sometimes, if the more cultural traits are there, it never be stayed back in one point. It will be diffused, transferred to the some other points. If the cultural traits are peripheral point, its number is less compared with the core point. And sometimes, after reaching that fringe point or the peripheral point, the cultural traits again it will travel to go to the next group also. So it will be transferred not only the peripheral point and also available at the next group also. According to Mr. Kroeber, that is climax the equivalent of cultural centers. It is a portion of cultural traits where cultural traits are gathered and diffused. Once again we will review. Mr. Clark Wissler introduced the two concepts. One is cultural area, second one is age area. And he has also written three books which are very famous. One is American Indian 1970, second one is Man and Culture 1923, third one is Relation of Nature. And then he wants to explain the cultural area as well as the age area bit in detail. If it is the cultural area, it always refers towards the cultural traits which are occurred in the nature. And then what about the age area? Age area is an instrument, tool or methodology which is useful to separate the cultural traits or isolable or isolate the clustered elements. It was propounded by Mr. Franz Boas, Kroeber and Clark Wissler. This Wissler is again focused his light on cultural area and it refers to the cultural complexities along with the cultural traits. As a result, the American School of Diffusion renamed it as Cultural Area School. Sometimes, if the cultural centers are available, which acts as a core point for the cultural areas. If the cultural traits are more in number, it will be diffused or moved to the some other places. In case if the cultural traits are moving towards the fringe point or end point or peripheral point, When we compare the amount, its number is less compared with the core point. And sometimes when they reach the fringe point, peripheral point, again it will travel and join in the next group also. So these cultural traits not only at the end point of its own group and also jump and travel to the another group also available. We can observe thereover. And then Mr. Kroeber is given his explanation like this. The climax as equivalent in the cultural centers, it is portion of cultural traits where it is gathered and diffused. By this, today's lecture about the cultural area is completed. Tomorrow, maybe possible I may extend, or else Monday I will take the class. Tomorrow, if possible, I will take. Why? Because I am having the classwork, IGNOU classwork. Okay, this is Bindu taking leave from YouTube platform. If possible, please subscribe it. Good night.